Hi, Gregory Watson here, Spiritual Protector of Feather of Gold. A number of you have had a look at a video that I posted a couple of days ago that was titled, When I Said He Could Visit Anytime. What I didn't mention in that video, and what the topic of this particular video is about, is that at the time of that encounter or that experience, I actually had two visitors in the morning. The first was detailed in that last video, but as that spiritual visitor left, he left through the doorway. But as he left, there was another angry spirit pushed its way through the door before we could get it closed. And behind him, there were a number of other really angry souls. Managed to shut the door before the rest of them got through, but when this one came through, he was angry. He had a face that was twisted and contorted from anger. I don't know if you've all seen the painting called The Scream by the Norwegian expressionist Edvard Munch, done in 1893. But that's sort of what he looked like, that whole stretched, contorted face. So my first response was to make sure that Janelle had her spiritual protection up, which pretty much she always does anyway. But what he was here for is he was demanding to see the previous owner of the house. And it just seemed like he had some sort of unfinished business with him. But as angry as he was, he got even angrier when I told him that the previous owner didn't live here anymore. And then I explained to him the previous owner had in fact died. And at that point, his anger turned to just disbelief. The fact that he was so busy being angry that he hadn't even noticed that the previous owner had passed away. Couple of things here. So this is where your protection in the spiritual world can be important, particularly when you're dealing with the negative energies. So whenever I go into the spiritual realm, I always make sure I set up my protection. I start off with a circle of bright white light, much like an overhead spotlight coming down. I then ask for a circle of angels to surround and protect me. And then I call in the armor of God, Source, Creator, Universe, Divine, whichever name you like to attach to it. And I see this as being chainmail armor, and it comes complete with a shield and a broadsword. But once my new angry visitor realized that he couldn't see the one that he was after, what I had him do was to put his hand on my shield. And as he did that, it discharged the energy of his anger, which was like a bright, intense green light, a bit like watching somebody welding. You can see the flashes. Then I had him put his other hand on the broadsword that I carry. And between the two of those, it drained and grounded his energy, so that it just evaporated away from him in the end. And I don't know how long you've been carrying that anger for, but it looks like it had been a very long time. But ultimately, it was a real waste of time, as you know, carrying anger always is. The impression that I got from him was that he had had some dealings with the previous owner of the house, and they hadn't gone well, and that's what the anger was about. But once he discharged that anger, he was like a completely empty soul. So it was at that point that I asked my angels to accompany him back through the portal to complete his transition from this life. But just as he was about to step through the portal, another spirit, another soul that identified herself as his wife came out to meet him. And it looked like she'd been waiting for him for a very long time. And she seemed pleased to finally see him without the anger. And then she put her arm around him and accompanied him back through the portal. So that was the second half of my encounter. I got sort of two for the price of one this Sunday morning. It's a couple of things that I take from the encounter. The first is that the ongoing anger and the energy associated with it is really a complete waste of time. It's something that you need to resolve or need to deal with before your transition happens to you. Secondly, you need to always keep your protection up. Whenever you're dealing with the spirit realm, make sure your protection's in place. Make sure you're safe. Make sure your spiritual self is safe. And lastly, don't be surprised or put off by who or what you encounter when you're in the spirit realm, because there are a lot of surprises there. Thanks for listening, and remember, be spiritual, be safe.